Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Danny Watson, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place. Hello ladies, and welcome to a brand new episode. Let's start with a quick catch up because it's been a hot minute since I did a solo episode. I've been releasing a lot of interviews recently. So I've had a very wonderful month, I'd say, with lots of travel, lots of experiences, and just getting out of my normal routine. The big thing for me was traveling this month. My husband and I went to Kenya in Africa, where we went on safari, we had a wedding, we caught up with lots of incredible friends that we've not seen in a very long time. And it was our first trip that we've really done, which has been child-free. So it was a very, anxiety-inducing experience initially, but actually we had such a wonderful time, just the two of us, and it was really nice to just, be in a completely different culture. Kenya is such a fascinating, incredible, beautiful country, and it's somewhere that I want to spend much more time. I want to be able to take my children there. You've got obviously the safari side of things, but then you've got beautiful coastline. So I've had a really wonderful trip there. And then I also took a trip to Tarifa, which is literally like an hour and 20 minutes from where I live. My husband and I couldn't believe that we haven't done this trip sooner with our children. And it's very much our vibe because it's very laid back. It's a surfer town. It's white sand beaches, beautiful turquoise clear water, lots of people surfing, kite surfing, this very sort of relaxed surfer town vibe to it, which I really, really love. So that was a wonderful trip. And now, we've got some really exciting projects going on within the business, lots of things that we're working on behind the scenes. So I feel like it's just been one of those really incredible months. But for this episode, I'm doing something slightly different. It's a topic that I don't really talk about that often. I want to really dive into business strategy and some of your business questions. I did an Instagram story recently asking what your biggest questions are about building a business, and I got some really interesting questions. So I'm going to use this episode to answer some of those questions. But I'd love to do more of this actually, because I really sort of tend to focus on mindset and the inner work, but also the business side of things is something that I'm fascinated by. I've learned a huge amount since I became a business owner and an entrepreneur. And so, let's get started with some of the questions. So first things first, what is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned? Now, goes without saying, I've learned so much, but I think something that I always come back to, and I really accredit a lot of this business strategy to my success, is my ability to, just dive into things and really release that perfectionism tendency of trying to have everything sort of perfectly refined and perfectly fine-tuned, and seeing the things that I launch and the products that I create as in this state of constant evolution. I read a book called The Lean Startup when I first started out, when I really didn't know much about business. And I felt like a lot of the principles from that book really stuck with me. The idea is that we create in a business a minimum viable product, something that we can get to market as quickly as possible, with the idea that that product is going to be evolved and refined over time. So this was very much the approach that I took with the Clique Academy. So previously, when definitely as that very newbie coach, I was obsessed with things needing to be perfect. And I almost had this idea that I was going to create this product that was just going to be a lifetime product that was never going to change, that was always going to look this way. And it was almost like, I've got to get this right. And I felt like I put a lot of pressure on myself to create something incredible. And then when it came to releasing that product, I was filled with a lot of self-doubt. Like, is this enough? Is this good enough? Am I giving it enough value? Kind of seeing this product as the be-all and end-all. And when it came to launching the Clique Academy, I'd read the Lean Startup and it talks about this minimum viable product. And I thought, I'm going to take this approach with the Clique Academy. Now, I want to make it clear, this wasn't a case of, okay, I'm going to rush to put something together and just throw something out there. I took time and energy to make sure that what I was creating, was good value, but I didn't get stuck in that perfectionism mindset of thinking this needs to be the finished product. I almost came into the market with, this is not going to be the finished product. This is going to be evolved. It's going to be refined. And what we're going to do is we're going to use feedback from our current members, from our students, to see how we can make this even better. And I initially thought this was going to be a year of refining and evolving. And I would say it probably took up to around 4 years of running that program before we got to a stage of, okay, this is really, really good now. We've continuously added into the program. We've taken things away. We've changed how we deliver certain types of content. We've brought on different experts to support us. I've got feedback from other expert coaches in the product itself to make sure, I've got another set of eyes looking at the product. And so for me, this has been a really great lesson because, first of all, I think it just allows you to get something to market quicker. You're therefore able to monetize your programs quicker. And with that money, you can reinvest that money back into your programs to actually make them even better. So I've found that having that initial launch and being able to really get that product to market quicker, the money that we made from that launch, it very much went back into the business. And actually a lot of the money that we make, I obviously pay myself and I pay, our team and things, but we try to invest as much money as possible back into the business just to really make everything better, to make our processes better, to make our courses better, and to make the whole experience that we're providing for our students better. So again, it's this idea of fail forward, fail quickly, learn as you go, allow things to be a little bit messy. Yes, you want things to be great, but I think when you take that minimum viable product mentality, it almost releases a bit of pressure from you as well. So a lot of the fears I had starting out, like, is this good enough? Like, this has got to be the best thing I've ever created. It created a lot of heaviness and a lot of tension around my launches. And I didn't enjoy that experience where with the minimum viable product, I'm able to take a much lighter and more playful approach to business. And I enjoy the journey a lot more. And I feel like when you are enjoying the journey a lot more, you're automatically going to deliver to a higher standard as well. Second question, do you have any business regrets? Yes, I have lots of them. I wouldn't necessarily say they are regrets though, because I feel like everything that we experience, even the failures, I feel like they are not necessarily failures unless you give up, right? So there's things that I've launched that I felt like that just really fell flat on its face and didn't really work. There's been things that I've launched which I'm like, this doesn't feel aligned with me anymore. Why did I go down this path? But again, I don't necessarily regret any of those things because I felt like I learned a lot from those experiences. I feel like the closest thing I have to a regret of sorts would be the fact that I struggled for so long to relinquish control within my business. Sorry, Betty, am I disturbing you? I let her sit in on these podcasts as long as she's going to be a very good girl. And she's not. Come here, Betty. Come here. What are you barking at? Sorry, distraction. Yes, my one semi-regret would be not bringing on team members sooner. I kind of half-hearted attempted to bring on team members for a couple of years and nothing kind of really worked out long term. And I think my biggest issue was that I was a control freak. I was micromanaging my team and I was perhaps expecting them to already have the knowledge that I had within business. And so I felt like the people I brought on board, it was very sort of short-lived for, I'd say, a year and a half, just because I struggled so much with that relinquish of control. And maybe it was partly not finding the right people initially, but I felt that really, really held me back. One significant area was within the sales calls. I had this real block around the fact that I assumed that people would want to be connecting with me. As the founder of the company, as the person that had created a lot of the content within the programs, I assumed that if they're wanting to speak with anybody, they will want to speak with me. And so for a long while, I was taking all of our enrollment calls. And I used to love these calls up until a point when I didn't, because I was completely overwhelming myself with the number of calls that I was taking. And because of the success rate of the calls that I was doing, again, my thought was, well, nobody's going to get the same conversion rates. And so I automatically just dismissed bringing anybody on board to support me there. And it was obviously really stagnating my growth as a business owner, because I was not in my core zone of genius. I was not able to focus on the higher level strategy that a CEO should be kind of focusing on. I was very much an employee within my business. And I see this happen a lot with entrepreneurs, where they're perhaps not necessarily at the very beginning stages. They've kind of created a bit of momentum, but they're still wearing multiple hats within their business. So maybe they are the coach, the CEO, but they're also the salesperson. They're also the social media manager. They're also the person that's dealing with all of the tech. And that can definitely help you when you are bootstrapping a business. But I would recommend, as soon as possible, using the money that you're making from your business to start bringing on board amazing team members. So that's going to free up your time. It's going to allow you to scale things much, much quicker. And it means that you can really be in your core zone of genius. It keeps you vibrationally in alignment as well, with who you're meant to be, who you're here to be. And yeah, from my experience, we started to grow so much quicker when we brought the right people on board. I think a bit of the resistance that I see from people is partly a control thing, as it was with me, which I did a lot of inner work around, but partly a financial thing. It's that unwillingness to invest in somebody, because it feels like a commitment. It can feel like a risk. It can feel scary to say, okay, I'm going to commit to paying this person every single month. You've got to really back yourself and really trust that things are going to unfold in your favor. But I think that goes with any investment that you make from a business point of view. It's not always going to feel like easy decisions. Most of the time, the decisions that are going to propel you forward the most are going to be the scariest decisions. And for me, hiring team members was incredibly scary, but the scariness was in a direct correlation to the amount of growth that we were able to see through hiring the right people. Okay, next question. Strategy within business. This feels very masculine. How do you incorporate strategy whilst staying in your feminine? This is a great question. I absolutely love this, because it's something I think I definitely battled with. I have a very logical mind. I think my sort of natural kind of balance, especially coming into my business, was definitely more in the masculine. I'm from a legal background, so it was very much based on sort of facts and processes and systems and, following things to the letter. And there wasn't really much room for kind of intuition. It was very sort of black and white. And that's very much how I approached business. And being from a corporate background as well, I was very much in my masculine of let's just get things done. Let's have a strategy in place. Let's go, and follow along with the plan. So I feel like that side of my energy has served me quite well, because I've seen the importance of systems and processes very quickly. How I marry the two is that I see the strategy, masculine parts of building a business as essential to allowing us to be in our feminine. So it's not this either or thing. It's that the two very much complement each other. So what I mean by that is because my business has very set systems and processes and automations and, very sort of solid strategy in place, which is the masculine side, it allows me to be in my feminine because it makes my business almost run like this well-oiled, almost automated machine where a lot of the things are happening in the background. And what that means is that if they're happening in the background, I don't have to be constantly micromanaging those parts of my business, and I can really focus on the things that I love to do, and I can go with the flow a little bit more. So when I have sort of a system in place that I know is predictably bringing in new leads to my business, predictably bringing in sales, it means that I can approach my business from a place of what do I want to do today versus what do I feel like I need to do today. And that's the difference, okay? This leading from this place of desire, of joy, of let's just be creative here, let's just be playful. So some of the things that I love doing in my business, I love creating content, I love designing new programs, I love coming up with creative ideas for growth and expansion within our companies. And those are the things that I feel are my core zone of genius, as well as actually coaching people. And I'm able to kind of give my energy to those things because on a day-to-day basis, most of the kind of the back end, the systems, the business is really running without me needing to be very present. And this isn't to say that I'm not present in my business. I am, but I'm present doing the things that I really love to do. And when you're doing the things you love to do, you are in your feminine, okay? And again, there's not this kind of pressure of I need to do these things. I'm coming from a place of what would be fun to do, what would be creative to do, what am I feeling aligned to do right now? I have the freedom to do those things because I know behind the scenes, we've got systems in place that keep the income consistent, that keep, the money coming in, everything working as it should. So that's kind of how I see that balance between the masculine and the feminine. Now, with full disclosure, when we are setting up the masculine parts of our business, unless you have a team to fully do all of those things for you, it might require you to be in your masculine more than perhaps what you would like to be to get those things set up. Now, for me, this wasn't an issue because I enjoy being there. I almost thrive being there. And especially in the beginning days of my business, I loved being the person that was solving the problems behind the scenes. So, playing around with the website, setting up systems, learning about funnels. I really enjoyed that side of my business. Now, you've got two options here. You either maybe you like it, that side of things like I do, or you invest in the right people to set up these things for you so you can just kind of set it to somebody else and then forget about it. Or you just suck it up and resign yourself to the fact that for a short period of time, you may need to be in your masculine more than what you would like to, but this is going to be short-lived. Okay? I see a lot of content around building a business that's feminine, and I'm all on board for creating something where we can fully be in our feminine. But I think if we look at business, the structure of business, the business of business, there are systems there. There are certain things you need to have in place. Like, for example, taxes. We can't avoid taxes. We can't avoid, doing our accounts. That's a very sort of methodical, masculine task to do. So to just say that business can be a solely feminine experience, I don't think is perpetuating the truth. And it's not the reality that I've certainly experienced. So I think maybe this isn't what all of you want to hear, but unless you're going to bring on a team on board to set up those masculine parts of your business for you, there's going to be a part which might feel a bit tricky. It might feel a bit challenging. But it will be a short-lived period, and you may actually find that some of those things that you're resisting, the social media, the tech, they may actually be things that you enjoy, trying to get your head around. But again, it's only going to be short-lived because the idea is that once you've got some of those core systems in place, your business starts to run itself a little bit more, and actually you can then be in your feminine more within your business. Okay, next question. Do I need to do sales calls? So my answer with everything, I always think, never discard an idea until you've actually tried it. And I think when we are building a business, it's always good to look at what other successful people are doing that's leaving clues. And something that I learned quite early on is that a sales call or an enrollment process is really going to help with the conversion rates of a sale. Mainly because people often need a little bit of hand-holding through the process, especially if it's a high-level investment. People want to feel that connection, that human connection, rather than necessarily just pressing pay online, again, especially at that higher price point. And often people will have a lot of fears or questions or resistance or something that they are coming up against that they may just need coaching through. Now, when I first started, I kind of hated the idea of having to get on a call with somebody, mainly because I had a lot of my own blocks around my worthiness, around selling, around charging people, around asking for money. It felt so heavy to me to be able to say my prices and to ask somebody, to the point where at the beginning, I would never have a conversation about price on the phone. I would always do that in an email follow-up because it just felt, less stressful that way. And then I did a lot of work around money, and I realized asking for money for your services is not a bad thing. This is an energetic exchange. And the way that I saw it was that people don't want to just take from me for free. People want there to be an equal balance here. This is a partnership I'm creating. I also realized that people were excited to be able to invest in themselves. And I started to think back to my own times when I'd invested in myself. It wasn't a feeling of, I've got the burden of giving this person my money. It's, wow, what an amazing opportunity I have here. I'm so excited for this experience. Here, take my money because I am so excited to work with you. I'm so excited to join this program. So I had to start really switching my mind around that transaction of money and kind of what that meant and kind of the limiting beliefs I had around that. So I made the whole experience more empowering, and something that I initially was incredibly resistant towards actually became one of the favorite things to do within my business. So it got to a stage where I absolutely loved taking these calls. So my point is, don't make assumptions about something until you've really thrown yourself into it and then make a judgment. If it feels like it makes business sense, and let's face it, when we're talking about high ticket, I think an enrollment call always makes business sense because it's going to increase your conversion calls, then it's something you should definitely try. Now, again, this isn't something that you necessarily need to be doing in your business yourself long term. Because if we're looking at scalability, the idea is you want to be outsourcing the things you don't need to be doing to free up more of your time and leverage your time in a better way. And sales calls are one of these areas that you can do this. I would always recommend that you at least be in the trenches to begin with, because I felt like for me, especially doing those enrollment calls was a really great learning experience. It was almost like free market research because I was really exposed to my clients' pain points, what they were really struggling with, what their resistance was to investing, some of their challenges, what it was that they were really looking for. So I was able to get a really deeper understanding of who my audience was through doing those enrollment calls. And then I could use that information then to bring that into my marketing, to kind of bring that more into my programs as well. So for me, it was a very valuable experience. And as I said earlier, I think my issue was that it got to a stage that I loved doing them, but I completely got overwhelmed by them because I was doing so many of them. And, I took too long to bring on board somebody to help me do them. But the idea is that eventually that's kind of where you can step into. It's something that you might want to play around with. So we have two options for many of our programs where there's an option to get on a call, but somebody can also go to a sales page as well. So rather than you dictating, okay, this is what my audience need, you're giving that power to your audience to say, okay, I'm somebody that really needs that call versus somebody that will just go to a sales page. If I'm being completely honest, actually, this is where sort of me and my husband really differ, because he's very involved in the business as well, and a lot of the strategy we discuss together, and he's very much somebody that will overanalyze something for weeks. So he could be looking at a pair of, like, I don't know, swim shorts online. They could be on sale. He'll have them in his shopping basket online for like 3 weeks, agonizing over the decision. I'm somebody within 2 minutes, I found a dress, I bought it, and, you know, it's on its way to me. I make decisions quite impulsively. I trust my gut. I don't overanalyze things. I'm very, very decisive and just kind of go with it and just see how things play out. So I'm more of the person that would just go to a sales page and be like, I am all in, and just, you know, and pay online, even for high ticket. And I've done this for high ticket, you know, programs that are being close to the 10,000 mark. I've paid online without actually having a sales call. My husband's the complete opposite. So we see that there is room for both here. And within our business model, we give the option for people, and there's really quite an even split between people taking a call and people signing up through the sales page. Okay, next question. What are some mistakes you see within the coaching industry? I feel like I could do a whole topic on this, not from a place of like judgment or shame, but just things that I see that I've even done myself, that I'm like, oh, like maybe this will work for you, but for me, I had these challenges with this. So this was something that I definitely fell into the trap of early on, and I see it play out a lot as well within the coaching space, where people are continuously launching new things. New is great, new is shiny, new is exciting, new feels sexy, and it's great to be continuously launching new things if, you know, your business is set up in the right way. However, the issue that I see is that the launching of new things is partly coming from a place of, yes, I want to be creative, but also because whatever they'd launched previously didn't work out in the way that they'd hoped to. And it's not to say that that program wasn't great. It was that they didn't really give that program the proper chance of succeeding. So if we kind of create a scenario here, let's say you're on an island, let's call it Island A, and you want to get to Island B, you start building a bridge. Let's say Island B is your dream income goal. Let's just say it's £1 million. You want to get to Island B. So you start building a bridge. This is your product A. You launch that and you see some success with it, but you're like, it wasn't, the big bucks. I'm going to start building a second bridge. So you start working on your second bridge, product B, hoping this will be the one that takes you to Island B. You launch that, and yes, it did well. You got some sales, but it didn't get you to Island B. So rather than continuing to build that bridge, you start building another bridge, and then another bridge. And all of a sudden, you've got this really big product suite with sales here and there, but nothing necessarily getting you to that Island B. Now, contrast that with you start building that bridge, you launch it, you launch that product, and it gets some sales. And rather than thinking, okay, well, that didn't work as well, you continue to work on bridge A. And you keep refining it, and you keep figuring out what's working, what isn't, and you keep launching that same product, keep working on that same bridge. You're going to get to your Island B a lot quicker. This is something that I was very much focused on with the Clique Academy. Aside from a few sort of smaller offers, really kind of the first 4 years of the Clique Academy, we didn't really launch anything else. We were solely focused on making that program the best it could be, but also making our marketing the most effective it could be as well. Okay, so rather than putting our energy into creating lots of products, we put our energy into our existing product and actually thinking, how can we get more people into this program? And I felt like that was a big kind of secret to our success. Not really a secret, I guess, but I think that was a really big contributing factor to our success, is that we really just laser focused on building that one bridge and making it a really solid, sturdy bridge that's going to get us to that Island B quicker, faster, more efficiently. Okay, so rather than diluting your energy over multiple products, it's really about doing things simpler, but making it more significant, doing it less, but actually making what you do even better, even more powerful. So the mistake I see is again, just feeling like the constant need to launch new things. And it's often based on fear, like, this is what I launched, it's not good enough because I didn't get enough people signed up. Sometimes the product could be absolutely incredible. I see so many amazing programs launched, and they're launched once and then they're kind of forgotten about. And I think, well, why is that? And they assume that, it's because my audience needs something new. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just that you need to refine the messaging behind that program. Maybe you need to find a way of bringing in new people to your audience, more consistently. So, yeah, it's this sort of dilution of your energy, and I think it makes a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of coaches feel very overwhelmed, very scatty in their approach, and not necessarily, putting in a lot of work, but not necessarily reaping the rewards of the amazing programs that they've created. So I'm going to wrap it up there, but I've got so many questions that I've been sent across off the back of this stories. So I'd love to do another episode on these business strategy questions. If you missed the Instagram story and you didn't see my question post, please feel free to drop me a message on Instagram, Danny_Watson_coaching. I would love to receive your questions there, and I'd love to, host another episode on this topic. Hopefully this has been useful for some of you, but yes, I'm looking forward to hearing more about what you want to learn from. Have a wonderful rest of your week, ladies, and I will catch you on the next episode. If you are wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.